Waiting for this light to turn green. I'm headed to work for a boss so mean. I'm gonna be late. She's gonna be...
There are some things we should do alone, like sing in your car.
If this light doesn't turn, I'm gonna scream.
But when you gamble, you should always do it with others, because gambling with friends helps keep things in check. So go to keepitfunohio.com for more tips like this. Keep it fun, keep it social, but your singing? Maybe keep that to yourself.
Hey, it's me, your Uncle Cooper. Sorry to interrupt your music. I do love music, especially when it's set at a reasonable volume. You know, music is really only as good as your speakers. The same is true for minivans. A minivan is only as good as the tires it sits on. And the button on the screen there, it agrees with me. If you click on it, it'll bring you to all the Cooper minivan tires that'll make your minivan a really good minivan. Go with the Coopers! Cooper!
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Kids, do you like professional wrestling? Well, we like professional wrestling too. This is Shake Them Ropes. I am Jeff Hawkins along with Mr. Professional Microphone. Not a Mr. Microphone, like having a FM radio with him going, hey, ladies, well, see you later. I don't know if you know those commercials or not. The old, you had a microphone that could connect to your car radio so you could talk into it.
Oh. That is certainly a thing that you could do. You just
80s,
pull up alongside a lady and interrupt her radio real quickly.
Well, no, not in her radio, in your radio. But you know, they'd be walking down the street. You get on the microphone. Hello there, ladies. How are you today? The creepiness of how forward you could be in the 80s was on full display in your as seen on TV ads, such as that. You know, you could have an at-home karaoke party.
What fun.
Oh.
Nothing says she's coming back like an at-home karaoke party.
I know. Is karaoke fun? That's the question, because like when I go to the convention for Figure 4 in Vegas, they always do a karaoke night at one of the dive bars in downtown Vegas. And like it was big like in the early aughts when I was doing improv groups, and when they, you know, birthday parties or just hanging out after shows or whatever, everybody would go to the karaoke bar and drink and things like that. But I always viewed it as kind of a, oh, this is what theater kids kind of do type of thing versus this is what real people do. Is karaoke fun for people not in the arts? Although, Chris, you play music. You play music, so I can't really ask you.
Karaoke to be that. It's not unfun. It's who you're doing it with.
Yes.
Right? It really is who you're doing it with and the vibe among the group.
Definitely, and also, the vibe of the songs chosen.
Yeah, vibe of the songs chosen, vibe of the group. Is it like a supportive atmosphere? Are there enough reasonably talented people that like you have enough pleasant surprise experiences to countervail the cringy, oh, okay, Becky just did that. Well, that's over now. Thank God for that. You know, you need to be able to balance that out with, whoa, I didn't realize that Tyler could sing like that. You need those little moments in the evening.
Oh no, here comes the perpetually single woman to sing All By Myself by Eric Carmen. We're all in trouble now.
Right, but you know, I mean, short answer is, look, different people find different things fun, which is not a revelation or anything like that. But I think sometimes we as humans underappreciate just how fun something is to somebody and how that exact same thing could be deeply unfun to somebody else.
Improv. That's the definition of improv right there. Because anybody who's not an improv user, what is this dumb thing that you people do? Oh, by the way, Chris, you did get some good feedback on women, on your opinion on women with tattoos.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What are we saying on
people very supportive of that?
Okay, all right.
Especially women with tattoos.
Oh, are they? All right. Well, caller, get on the Instagram, people.
No.
Doctor underscore no. Very available these days.
One already did. Anyways, getting into the news, and we have to retrace our steps. I know that this is an old story, kids, but new details coming forward in the CM Punk Elite thing, especially in light of the Elite getting teased as coming back on television. Fightful Select told by numerous sources that Chris Jericho approached CM Punk unhappy about the brawl out fight as well as the nature of the scrum that had just taken place. Jericho told CM Punk that he was a cancer to the locker room and a detriment to the company. Those we've spoken to didn't recount CM Punk's reply verbatim, but said that he effectively told Jericho it wasn't his business and that he needed to leave. Both are right.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
it is not your business another employee's relationship with corporate brass. Okay. I'm sorry. I know.
Especially with the unclear nature of like what Punk's relationship in the company was. Like,
yes.
was he ever an executive? Like, what is that clear? Like,
it's not clear to me, but also I'll backtrack a little bit. I mean, even in the locker room, see, this is where the weird, are we independent contractors or are we all buddy co-workers trying to make this all work? And that's the weird thing about professional wrestling that's unique to professional wrestling. Because my opinion would be don't screw with another man's money. But
yeah, like the independent contractor etiquette here to me says you just have less, you just can't get into other people's sandboxes as much.
But here's the other thing that's kind of bothering me a little bit is that is now like 2 or 3 weeks into it. Here comes Chris Jericho to play White Knight. It bothers me a little bit. It does, because I'm just like, well, you know, I'm the real hero of the story. And it may not be Jericho directly talking to either Meltzer or Sean Ross Sapp, but at the same time, it's just like, hey, you know who really, you know, now that it's obvious that everybody's gone against Punk and that Punk's on his way out, everybody's going to get their dig in because there's nothing CM Punk can do about it. It's like, oh, no, you know what? He said something to me and I said, no, sir, you were getting, you know, that kind of thing. And you're just like, come on, guys. I don't know. The more I hear about this story, the more, not that I approve of what CM Punk did in the press conference, but the more I'm kind of empathetic to the plight that he was going into, because in the Observer, Chris, we can both take a victory lap on this one. It says a lot of the bad feelings towards CM Punk was because of the whole Colt Cabana thing. And I'm just like, guys.
And it's insane. It is insane from a business standpoint to have so much money riding on your vibes about Colt mid-card Cabana.
Yeah, it probably didn't help either that CM Punk's side leaking towards Nick Hausman of Wrestling Inc., he of the scrum that got this whole thing started. And talking about, you know, Larry's dog, or Larry the dog, had loosened some teeth, and when they had quote unquote kicked the door in, which we don't know if they really kicked it in or not. You know, and now people on the other side are leaking to Dave Meltzer saying, you know what,
they opened the door gingerly.
No, I don't either.
Yes, I don't think they knocked politely and waited for Mr. Punk to answer.
Yes, and it would appear to me that CM Punk cares about his dog to the point where if you were going to send him off, the two things you'd go after are his wife or his dog, and that's pretty much the only things he cares about in this world. So I tend to think he may have thought his dog was in danger, but now people leaking to Meltzer are saying, oh, well, that whole dog story, not true.
And I think that's a bit slimy because it's like Punk can't actually speak publicly on it. So the thing that would kind of prove or disprove this and sort of help everyone who hasn't already just made up their mind one way or another on this, make up their mind is, look, if we could see Larry the dog and his injury or status or lack thereof, I think it sort of leans heavily in the favor of one person or the other. I just don't think Punk's making up the Larry the dog got hurt during this incident thing.
Right. And I
yeah,
think
like something about that just has the ring of truth to me. Especially because it always feels like from the Bucks and Omega camp, they always take the story one side too goody, right? We're always back in the prayer circle.
I God, I got nailed on that one. I'm not gonna go
whatever. I'll take all the slings and arrows for that, people. No, yeah.
But on the other side, I guess Punk's team or whoever is leaking for him is saying that he was doing this under castle doctrine. Imagine, I'm just like, that's too far too. We all need to just kind of settle down here with how big of a hero we all are in terms of quote unquote standing your ground, not the law, but in terms of castle doctrine.
Although actually the intersection's weird, but yes, But I thought my understanding is like that was the explanation as to why there hasn't been charges brought against Punk.
Yes. That is the explanation, and as to why he was so defensive was castle doctrine. But the line in Dave's story, and I love me some Dave Meltzer. He's a very nice person. Was very nice to me when my diagnosis came down. But I do criticize him, and he has his idiosyncrasies. But it's like the obvious, the thing talking about the story about the dog, and then of how it loosened some teeth, and that the dog had a subsequent planned vet appointment, needed to have those teeth removed. Here's Dave. Next sentence. Next paragraph. The obvious problem with that story is that if that came up in the investigation, there is no way that the Bucks and Omega would have been brought back.
That's not right.
That's not true. That is not true at all.
That's not true. That's one, inappropriate editorializing in the middle of reportage of facts. Two, bad analysis. It is badly placed in the writing and also simply not true.
Yeah, it's just so much of this is just, gosh, if we could just
I guess this is why I've been very sympathetic to Punk, is his whole opening screed in that presser was going after that room of people who call themselves journalists, who relatively easily, anyone with like a freshman year's intro to journalism stuff can start going through any of the big names and start seeing real violations of best practices in any of their work. Will I be doing that on the show today? No, I will not. Thanks, Jeff. But thanks for the offer and the invite.
You know what? I have a podcast that you could resurrect. It's called Talking Sheet, and you can always do it over there.
Right. No, I don't think it's actually very hard to go through any of these big names and see serious objectionable journalistic practices that just don't wash with what we would accept as good journalism. And that was Punk's opening salvo in that presser. And the people in that room who called themselves journalists went on to acquit themselves in a way that validated CM Punk by asking about kayfabe storylines instead of following up on a major news story. And I don't think, especially with something like this, where the facts are very much they said, you gotta, as a reporter, really just stick to the facts. And especially when you're getting quote unquote a fact from one side, color it with a lot more nuance and a lot more credulousness.
I hesitate to bring this up. I'm going to bring this up. But the whole thing, the lines in the story about how, the locker room was soured on Punk from the get-go because of the entire Colt Cabana thing. This is something that's happening in a lot of industries anyways, where the workers basically get to dictate the terms of how they get to do their job. And I just think it's one of those weird things where I almost imagine Punk's like, I'm kind of concerned about this because Colt's been in your company for a couple of years now. And Tony just kind of goes, hey, don't worry about this. I got it. All right. It's going to be fine. We're all going to be professional. We're going to go in there and make some money, blah, 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 blah. And then Tony doesn't actually go to the locker room.
No, right.
Fears them a little bit. And he says, we're going to bring in Punk right now. Anybody have a problem with that? Oh, and by the way, I've stealth put Colt Cabana on the Ring of Honor roster.
I mean, I think, look, kind of two thoughts here. One, where is the rejoinder editorial comment to this little piece of factoidal information, right? If we're going to editorialize at one point, I guess, why wouldn't we be editorializing here? And then two, to editorialize on this, if this is true, this is the beginning of Tony Khan mismanaging this entire situation. If you are Tony Khan and you are bringing in CM Punk as both a top-level talent on the screen and also someone involved in the backstage machinations of how this show is working, and there is, in fact, a sour vibe from the jump, it is your job as Tony Khan to go in there and go, smile up, people. I am writing checks. It is time to.
That's a promo I want. Smile up, people. I'm writing checks.
I am writing checks. You will learn to love the way things are now. Look at that rating. Look at that rating. Now look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself if you can get that rating. Chris, can you do that? No, you can't. Great champion, though. Nice work. Good job getting those abs back. Hey, Kenny, can you do that? You haven't. Nice. Checks are going to keep coming. Don't worry about it. Nick, Matt? No, it's still not doing much on the mic? Okay, fine. CM Punk is here for this purpose. Smile time, people. Smile time.
Well, you know
See
what?
you on Wednesday.
You bring up a point that's interesting. That's kind of... It's not been forgotten, but at the same time, it's kind of been poo-pooed. You remember the all-hands meeting that they had where Kenny Omega made the quote-unquote joke that he wouldn't have hired 90% of the people in that room?
Yeah, I do.
It's kind of interesting when you're saying that Tony's going around going, oh, what kind of rating can you pop? Blah, blah, blah. And Kenny's out there going, I wouldn't have hired 90% of you. It's just, it's one of those things where it's just like, okay, we're still the number 2 company, guys.
I think I sort of inadvertently there just sort of painted an interesting and illustrative counterexample of the way the dynamic in that locker room could be going. Right. Yes. It should not be Kenny Omega doing little snippy snap jokes like this. Tony Khan should have Mr. Visionary should be in there. I would rather be talking about a guy who's kind of high on his own bullshit, all his high on his own vision right now, telling everyone how shit's gonna be, than this version of Tony Khan, which is milquetoast.
Yes,
he just wants to be one of the boys. He wants to hang out at Sammy's wedding. He this. I'm very unimpressed by this Tony Khan.
Okay, no, that's fair. Well, I mean, we can bring it up now, but yes, the Elite are on their way back, and man, I get the feeling we're going to have a couple of digs in here at some people as we do this weird. What would AEW be like if the Bucks and Kenny had never existed type of a story or whatever? This Back to the Future with them getting retconned out of photos and things like that. I think we're gonna go a little bit too meta for the crowd here, and I'm a little concerned by that, but I will wait to see how.
If they do that, it'll be a lovely validation of a lot of my critiques of them, which is that they are self-indulgent. That they are in it. They are trying to make TV mostly to amuse themselves. And if the audience goes along with them, that's nifty. But at this point, they like seeing themselves on the TV box.
Yes, we're going to pop each other for a while. Let's do that. Yeah, that kind of thing. The only other news I have this week are personnel movements. For those, you'll probably have watched it by now anyways, but Emma is being reported as coming back to WWE on SmackDown to answer Ronda Rousey's open challenge. Don't know if she's going to be there full-time or not, but she will be on tonight. Then over in AEW, Bandito has officially signed and is all elite, as has Juice Robinson. Now, again, don't know if either of these guys are earmarked for Ring of Honor or if they are for the all elite roster, but we have a roster right now of a lot of people. And it is odd to me, Chris, and we will get into this more in the Lazy River how many people we have that are absolutely not stars on this roster, and we keep signing people, and we keep not trying to figure out how we can't make stars. I like Juice Robinson. Juice Robinson, I have higher hopes for than Bandito. Bandito, great worker, awesome matches.
I
love
know,
it.
but if you can't talk, you're
If
not
you
going to
can't
rock.
talk, yes, exactly. And Juice Robinson at least has been known to be able to talk. He cut a pretty good promo before that Mox match. I'm hoping they put him in a position where it's not like in front of even if it's another pre-tape or whatever, start cutting promos and then we can see what we have here. But at the same time, it's also Juice Robinson. We've seen him in Impact. We've seen him in other places in the States. Can we put a new coat of paint on him and make him a big deal? That's my other question.
Right. Like, can we make him a big deal? And like, what's the game plan for him? I mean, would he have a nice feud with MJF? Oh yeah, sure. It wouldn't be a long one. And then what?
Yeah. Josh Woods has officially signed the other half of the Varsity Athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Fine wrestler, has a couple guys who can talk for him right now. But yeah,
I don't think this company needs to keep adding to the male side of the roster.
I agree.
If anything, do I think they could certainly use some strong additions to the female side? Yeah. I think open up the pocketbook a little bit on that. Like, Emma would actually be a nice get for this roster. But I think
Emma might be the number 2 wrestler in this company if she came in.
I know, like when you said it earlier, she's gonna be on SmackDown. I was like, man, what an oversight to not get her in, because she couldn't have been that expensive to get like 6 months ago. And this roster has needed someone like her. I mean, okay, this might set off some people, but I'll say it. I'm more interested in the in-ring work of Emma than Paige.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, I like, for all the hubbub about Saraya, I've always thought Emma was the better worker of the two.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that she's a better character actor than Paige.
Emelina's coming, Veer's coming.
Oh yeah, that's okay.
You remember that?
Emelina, that's right. Yes.
But you know what this would be? I mean, she's not going to beat Ronda on this turn, obviously.
No.
But this is a good chance for Hunter to make a make good on someone that they absolutely buried. I mean, they buried her.
No, and
Vince
especially with a fresh coat of paint, she could be a very interesting injection into this roster because she's got a little bit of built-in history with like damage control, for example.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what she does. Maybe it goes well, maybe it doesn't, but I'm at least interested.
That'll do it for the news portion of the show. And now the world famous, not that famous, lazy river of wrestling criticism. Whatever we watched over the week, be it old wrestling, new wrestling, future wrestling, whatever we've watched, we can comment on, talk about, what have you. I will go into the classic bag first. I know we have ice cold takes on Halloween Havoc, but I want to start with the Halloween Havocs I also watched this week because I actually watched a couple old ones. I watched both Halloween Havoc 1989 and Halloween Havoc 1990. If you like tag team matches, boy, are these shows for you. 89 has the infamous Dynamic Dudes Freebirds match where Cornette turns on the Dynamic Dudes in Philadelphia to the giant pop, but that show also has Skyscrapers, Road Warriors, in addition to Doom and the Steiners to lead up to Starrcade 89's Future Shock, the original plan for it. A couple of Haas matches there. Headlined by also another pretty good match, even though the gimmick sucked. Great Muta and Terry Funk versus Sting and Ric Flair in the Thunderdome cage match with Bruno Sammartino as the special ref. The quote-unquote electrified cage, which caught fire before the match, and the Great Muta had to climb up and put out the fire on the cage. Awesome stuff. 90's interesting. There's some interesting things in there. Like one of those acts that I hated, and I've hated for most of my life, were the Nasty Boys. I never liked the Nasty Boys.
They just don't do it for me. I never really got the zen of their match.
But man, Chris, I'll tell you, that late 1989, early 90s WCW run where they're doing matches with the Steiners, which was on this pay-per-view, and then they're doing the hardcore brawls with Cactus Jack. And I believe, I think it's Cactus Jack and Kevin Sullivan versus the Nasty Boys, or it's Cactus Jack and Max Payne versus the Nasty Boys in an Anything Goes match. Those dudes were awesome. They are awesome at just brawling in this match before they started doing the crappy like pit stop stuff and, you know, becoming Hogan's boys and stuff like that. But, you know, I now have to kind of tip my cap, because now I kind of enjoy the brawling tough guy Nasty Boys. But man, I never liked them up through even like watching, you know, retro matches before. But yeah, the 90 Havoc also it has Sid and Sting. And I forget how bad the Black Scorpion angle was until I watched some of these vignettes. Like, he's doing magic tricks to freak out Sting. And the main event is Sid and Sting, where they bring out Barry Windham dressed as Sting to be a fake Sting to get pinned. And just Stan Hansen and Lex Luger are in a match. That's something, because you can tell Luger just does not want to be in the ring with this blind guy who's just whacking him with clotheslines. And a pretty interesting Ric Flair and Arn Anderson versus Doom match where it's a double countout, but still it's just awesome, because this feud was so underrated when they kind of cooled off Rick a bit to give Sting some shine. And it was Horseman and Doom, and it was really, really kind of good stuff. Also, by the way, the last appearance of the Midnight Express in WCW, because they left, Jim Cornette and Stan Lane then left to go form Smoky Mountain. I'll bring up one other point about both these shows, because this guy was on both shows, and Chris, I will never ever get the appeal of Tommy Wildfire Rich. I just never will. That guy, he had like a very short run with the NWA heavyweight title when it was a big deal, and then WCW would bring him back, and I'd be like, what is the deal? I mean, we watched that last Battle of Atlanta, I think, and he was good in that, but I never got his appeal at all.
No, it's so much of that. The lift is done by the nickname Wildfire.
Yeah,
it's a good nickname. It's a strong nickname. But Tommy Rich, just a name.
You know what it
Tommy
is?
Rich, just a guy.
You know what else it is? I think it's also he was the young, sexy baby face at like 19, 20, 21. And then he gets into his like mid 30s. and it's like they're hoping that appeal will come back, but now he has like a beer gut and he's gained some weight. I mean, it's not that he's a bad wrestler. It's just he's very mid to me. And I never saw the appeal, but man, WCW would bring him back like he was a big deal about every 6 months. Your turn, sir.
Okay. You want to take us through the NXT Halloween Havoc card? We can kind of break that down.
I can go very quickly through this card.
Yeah. We don't have to dwell super long.
Opener and closer were fantastic matches, I thought. The ladder match and the three-way for the title. Braun Breaker holding his own with two guys, and even JD McDonough, who's just taking a beating in wrestling commentary. Both very, very good in this match, and Ilya's
he was the narrative was moving through JD McDonough. So
yes.
I mean, look, his off-screen issues that are not to be diminished aside for just a moment here, his performance in this match was very, very well executed.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
and then in between, the only other match I thought was worth a damn was the Creed versus I'm thinking of his real name. What's his gimmick name? Damon Kemp.
Yes.
That was fun after we got through the whole, we're guys who really don't know what we're doing, but we're doing a hardcore match right now, so let's just hit each other with stuff. Once it got to the kind of the story, it got really, really interesting and really, really good, I thought, especially for two guys that aren't technically, I mean, not technically sound, but I mean, technically good at wrestling and doing hardcore matches. I thought this was solid. And the ladder match, like I said before, great stunt show. what you'd think it would be. But the rest of this card, somebody else put it perfectly, is that a lot of these NXT matches, like you take the Roxy and Cora Jade one, for example, is just a lot of building up to the Shawn Michaels, I'm sorry, I love you in the Ric Flair match moment. But it's in every match now. And you're just like, that kind of hyped up dramatics where you're just like, God, just hit them for God's sake, as opposed to taking the moment, the theatrical, we make movies from beyond the mat type of moment. But
no, I agree. Look, this was an improvement from some of the bad old days takeover shows in Technicolor Vomit era. But I mean, when you go up and down this card, I think only a handful, like 3 matches of the 7 here. I guess you could say, 7 here. Really, to me, or I guess the 6 made 6. It on screen. Yeah, 6. I was looking at
unless you count the haunted house as a match.
No, you're right. So 3 of the 6 to me were takeover quality matches, and then Cruz and Waller was a TV match. Perez and Core J was a TV match, and Mandy Rose and Alba Fire was a TV match.
God, Alba Fire got nothing in that match for the most part.
Nope.
Unreal.
It was. I mean, and I knew when she had Mandy on the run, I was like, wow. I mean, it was very obvious how this was going to end. It's just, it was nothing to write home about.
I will praise something on the NXT TV show this week, though. Something that if you had told me in a million years that I would enjoy, I would tell you were wrong. But that women's tag match between Katana Chance and Caden Carter and versus Nikita Lyons and Zoe Stark.
Yes, I know.
That held its own up until the referee crap.
Yes, but no, it was interesting. In particular, for me, the standout was Chance. I feel like she is just. I want to see Katana Chance as a heel, like a cheating, sneaky, like
they were moving towards that at one time. You remember that?
Yes, I know. And now I'm like, I want to see evil Katana Chance. I think I'm here for that.
Look, Nikita Lyons is a giant compared to that other team. She didn't do too bad, but I've been saying for a while now that Zoe Stark has that kind of Ron Garvin type of charisma.
Yep.
Where she has tough credibility, but she still has some. It's a weird persona. It's not like come off the screen charisma, but there's something likable about that. I'm not saying that they have this level of talent. I would never do that. But the Nikita Lyons, Zoe Stark team is very much like, I forget if it was 1988 or 87, but as U.S. tag champs, Ron Garvin and Barry Windham had a bit of a run there before they got beat by the Midnight Express. They have that kind of, I would never compare Nikita Lyons to Barry Windham as a wrestler at all, but they have a very similar dynamic to them in terms of how they interplay as a tag team. But yeah, I if you had told me that this women's match would blow anything away I saw compared to something with like Roxanne Perez, I would say you're absolutely nuts. But I thoroughly enjoyed this tag match.
Yeah. No, I strongly agree. It vastly outperformed my expectations because I have not been very high on Chance and Carter as like a tag team.
They have this weird. They're going too much into the gimmick as party girl type things, and that just wasn't working for me.
No,
we're best friends, and we're doing our little pose, and then we're gonna have glow sticks and t-shirt cannons as we dance to the ring. It's just like, get some. But this gave them some credibility. I love their double team moves. Their double team moves are crisp when they hit them.
I would like them to be like almost more no nonsense. Like they're not heels in any way, but just like they are just totally no nonsense.
Business. They're there for business. They're not there for the sports. They're wrestlers, quote unquote. Not grapplers, but
and they're constantly communicating with each other.
Yeah, almost like a Young Wolves type of thing with like Edwards and Richards type thing. If they were a little bit more serious. I
Yep.
love them. And even if they were a little bit more heelish when they were serious, I dig them. Like, hey, we're gonna do what we can to get the win. And,
Yeah, yeah. Just, I mean, more communication. Like you don't have to say we're best friends. You know how we can know that you guys like are really good friends? Is that
like good friends?
Yeah, no, like on the ring, one of you's on the apron going, bring her over here. I'm gonna, like get her
like that.
Yeah, get her into the corner. Like
get your foot up, whatever.
Yeah. Foot up, yeah. Just making it real clear, like we are working in sync and we have a mission.
Show don't tell. Yeah, I mean, that's perfect.
Exactly.
Your turn, sir.
Other than that, I guess let's move over to the actual NXT results here, or like the fallout or whatever.
Waiting for this light to turn green. I'm headed to work for a boss so mean. I'm gonna be late. She's gonna be.
There are some things we should do alone, like sing in your car.
If this light doesn't turn, I'm gonna scream.
But when you gamble, you should always do it with others, because gambling with friends helps keep things in check. So go to keepitfunohio.com for more tips like this. Keep it fun, keep it social, but your singing?
Yeah.
Maybe keep that to yourself.
Hey, it's me, your Uncle Cooper. Sorry to interrupt your music. I do love music, especially when it's set at a reasonable volume. Music is really only as good as your speakers. The same is true for minivans. A minivan is only as good as the tires it sits on. And the button on the screen there, it agrees with me. If you click on it, it'll bring you to all the Cooper minivan tires that'll make your minivan a really good minivan. Go with the Coopers! Cooper!
The conflicted Sangha storyline, not interesting at all. Not interesting at all.
I don't want Sangha as a heel.
I don't either.
He's great as a babyface. What are we doing?
It's very strange. The thing that's making it work though for me, Ivy Nile coming out and scolding Sangha was such like a great little beat.
Just the look on Sanga's face was just fantastic.
Yeah, it just coming from Ivy, you'd be like scared and cowed.
Well, it's funny because Shawn Michaels on the NXT conference call prior to Halloween Havoc was like, you know what, with Sangha, we're not gonna do the stereotypical thing of evil foreigners doing evil things, blah 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 blah. And then what do? Right to it. I mean, unless it become like a babyface killer team, which I could see it happening down the road as this whole heel thing doesn't take. But yeah, Sanga's been a revelation. He might not be able to wrestle, but he is an absolute fantastic babyface presence. And I don't see people booing him, especially the smart fans at Full Sail.
Yeah, no, and I'm with you. That they have established him too much as the friendly giant who like actually gets along really well, in particular with like he's like the friendly dude to like a lot of the females in the locker room in particular. I think that's a unique energy. Like not every performer actually can kind of pull that off in a convincing way. It really does work for Sangha.
You can't do the Playboy thing and get babyface reactions all that often, but he
and
does.
Also like let's stop like with Veer in a tag team. Like let's go all in with like let's make Veer serious and just make him like a killer. Let's I mean Breaker versus Veer could be really interesting.
Oh yeah, that'd be very. Oh dude, that'd be Cena versus Umaga is what that would be. I mean, that'd be awesome. I'm here for that. Shit,
Sorry.
I never cuss on this show, but I was just like, yeah, give me that match. I want to see some fighting. I want to see Braun Breaker throw some dude.
And I just want to see like a no nonsense Veer Mahan just like making Braun Breaker's life and everyone else's life hell.
That's my note for all wrestling is make this more serious as opposed to more ironic, playful. Please.
I guess the spin out of this would be Sangha starts having a crisis of confidence and Veer just demolishes him.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how we pivot out of this. That being said, Diamond Mine, the Creed brothers continue to shine.
Were you shocked at all that Roderick Strong did not pop out of this ambulance in any way?
I was.
Okay.
I was. The swerve was like sort of no swerve on that. I liked I thought Brutus was real good on the mic here
Yes.
on Wednesday too.
Yes.
No, I know. I'm like,
He's finding himself. They're both finding themselves, and it's fantastic.
all three of them are. I think really, let's pare Diamond Mine down to the Creeds and Ivy. And they're a very interesting little character unit now. In addition to being talented in the ring. Big fan.
Anything else in NXT? Did you like transfer student? I wanted to call him Brendan Vick, but that's not his name. Brendan Vick. That's not his name anymore. Duke Hudson.
Duke Hudson. Yes. Yeah. That was good. And then Ilya and JD, I just didn't feel like we needed to go back to that.
No, I don't either. But I think they need to give him something to do while Braun and Apollo, or as Apollo gets a good match out of Braun, for whatever main event they're gonna do for that.
Yeah,
That's an interesting match, but it's not that interesting to me because
right, because you just don't feel like Breaker's title's in any real peril.
Yeah, and you just feel like Apollo's gonna fly for him, which is great, but at the same time you don't think that he's ever gonna have the real upper hand in the feud at any point because you know what they want to do with Braun. So
yeah, no, it would be interesting if Apollo was, being booked on more of an evil arc and also being booked a little bit stronger. So it just felt like maybe, there's just more dark clouds hanging over this match. Booked properly, I could be really into this match.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that they're going to kind of keep it at a colder heat level.
I'm going to move us off of NXT for my one main roster WWE point. What the hell was that ending on Raw? It's not that I don't like Nikki Cross. I love Nikki Cross. I like her a lot. We're going to have her take out Bayley and Bianca to reintroduce her when we haven't really taken her off TV to the point where nobody kind of misses her. My reaction was that of when Krusty the Clown had to use the Russian knockoff Itchy and Scratchy. He's just staring there with a cigarette going, what the hell is that? That's my reaction to this. I don't know how to put this exactly. Is Nikki is Nikki possibly able to be a bigger force in the women's division than Bayley? Is that how bad we've mishandled Damage Control? Or is she possibly going to join Damage Control? That would be kind of an interesting fluke. But at the same time, what would you do with Bayley then? This is almost, I mean, look, we were talking before the show about, Triple H has had some great hits. Damage Control is an inexplicable miss to me, and I don't understand it because it's one of those things where these women should be running roughshod through this division until the Survivor Series. And then you kill them in War Games. And then you can finally start breaking them up, or they stay together and they're a little bit depowered, but you can build them back up. I don't understand at all Nikki Cross and this reintroduction right now, especially in the main event segment.
Hey, I'm glad that we got Nikki Cross back.
That's true too.
I will say that Nikki ASH thing needed to go away, and it has. So that's good. But I found myself baffled. Maybe Nikki has a great promo in her next week to kind of make this all make sense, but introducing a perfectly gray figure into the main event picture of the women's title scene is an interesting move.
Is Sanity coming out? We gotta get the not Eric Young members of Sanity in here.
It's so weird to re-debut someone as a perfect tweener.
Yeah, I mean, especially and someone who has been on TV every week, and you're just all of a sudden making the new packaging, as opposed to, hey, she's been off for 6 months, and now we reintroduce her as this figure, and everybody's happy to see her. Now it's just like, okay, Nikki Cross is getting interjected into this program, and everybody's looking at this going, possibly to take a loss of some kind. But yeah, it was just it's not that I hated the move. I was just kind of baffled by it. I mean, because there are other people you could have introduced here.
On the plus side, the match work is going to be better. Like the Nikki Cross match is infinitely better than the Nikki ASH match.
Yes.
And so I mean, I'm interested in that.
That's the thing we forgot on NXT, by the way.
No, I was actually going to circle back to the Gacy debut. The big Gacy
there we go.
review.
Okay, thank you.
Reveal. Yes.
All right, so I'm done talking about Nikki.
Okay, so The Rock's daughter debuted on NXT.
What? What are we doing here?
This is not a gimmick that works for her.
No.
She's not good at, she doesn't have the look for it, and she's not good at the delivery for it. So I just don't know who thought this was a good idea.
Look, as much as I slam Isla Dawn, this had Isla Dawn written all over it. Because they kept her. She was not cut in the NXT UK thing, to my knowledge.
And she makes infinitely more sense in this. Yeah.
I understand expectations and living up to them, but how do you take the daughter of the biggest wrestling star that your company has ever made, possibly, knowing that she's kind of A, bland, and B, we don't know if she can wrestle yet, and you just deny their existence and stick her with Joe Gacy and say, hey, take this. Let's see what you can do with this kid. How are you helping her in this case? I mean, because I don't know about you, but I mean, you can say that she's not The Rock's daughter on TV all you want, but the expectations are there within herself.
Yeah.
And if she drops,
and you certainly see The Rock's daughter on her face.
Yes, if she drops the ball with this garbage gimmick, how are you ever going to rebuild her? I mean, I'm of the opinion that I guess they introduced her as a big deal. I don't know. I've already lost the grizzled young veterans. And I don't know if they're ever coming back. I was like, this is somebody. I mean, in 20 years, she should sue the company for corporate malfeasance. And I don't know if it would work, but if she doesn't make millions in wrestling, this is the first step to that. So yeah, this is Curtis Axel level of irresponsibility.
Yeah, I baffled by this choice. At least Curtis Axel got to beat Triple H by countout.
Let us go to AEW, shall we, Chris?
Sure.
Again, I love MJF. MJF is so fantastic on the microphone. I want 5 or 6 more MJFs in this company so that I can watch a wrestling show. I understand people like great matches, but let me ask you this. Would you rather have 5 or 6 of these and maybe one to build a match like say, Jon Moxley versus Pentagon, which had absolutely nothing to it?
What is the point of having Pentagon in a world title match if you're not going to build it up?
If you're not going to build it up for at least 3 weeks and at least do something with it and put some emotional resonance in it. But let's put that aside for a second, Chris. I'm not sure if I'm correct on this or not, but I had a slight problem with this MJF promo. And I want to see if you agree or disagree, because my co-host on my other show disagreed with me. I did not like the playing into the cheers of the crowd thing. Now, don't get me wrong. If you are a popular heel, you are going to be cheered by some people, and you are allowed to acknowledge it. The Four Horsemen and Norfolk, where this was taped, is pure horseman country. The Horsemen would come out, acknowledge that they had fans there, and then get to work to being evil. I guess if you want to quantify that possibly we're teasing an MJF babyface turn here, that he would do these types of things, but he's still saying the things about how all the poors want to sleep with Renee and how Virginia, for all its faults, he loves them. But I thought this treaded a little bit too far into cool heel territory. Am I wrong or somewhat correct on this?
For me, it's like this storyline's too cute by half.
Okay.
If you're gonna turn MJF, but like, I don't know. I don't know that he's doing a great job at the devil who made us love him angle, which is what I think they're going for here.
Jesus.
No, that like he makes us love him. No, he makes us love him right up until the moment he stabs us in the heart when he takes the belt off of Moxley. Basically, sort of like makes Moxley seem like the bad guy, makes himself seem like the good guy, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But it's all cunning ruse.
Well, that's where the angle gets interesting for me. See, I don't think they're going to do the full babyface, and I don't think they're going to do the full swerve. I think this is going to be something where he proves he's the devil and he screws everybody. I still think that he and Regal are in cahoots. And I still think that the story that I posited last week, that it's possibly Regal, Yuta, MJF, and Daniel Garcia as a stable, as you have a mole in each one is pretty great. And I think eventually it's also going to get into screwing over the Pinnacle, because I think he's going to bring in the Pinnacle to help him against to help him against the Firm now. And I actually kind of liked a lot about what the Firm did on Wednesday. I really liked, especially in that tag match, after the Gun Club took off the ridiculous costumes. And don't get me wrong, I laughed at the costumes. They're very funny. But they came in and did a post-match beating that looked like it had some heat to it. And I really liked that.
The Guns are really good as goons, aren't they?
Yes.
Like, yeah,
and Austin they were good as goons, and they were good as goons in the final part where they're beating up MJF as well.
Yes, yeah, no, they're good at that, and like that's a role. It's kind of like we were talking about the Bollywood Boys in the last episode. You need good goons, and not everyone is good at all. Sort of the mannerisms and like the little like slightly undersized, a little bit more aggressive, still kind of twerpy. But like the Guns are good. I like the Guns. They've really grown on me.
Yeah, and I think Ethan Page should be the head heel of any stable he's in. I mean, he just exudes jerk, and I love him for it. But it's one of those things where
and he felt like a leader in that moment.
Yes.
Like they did. The Firm stopped feeling like this amorphous assemblage and like a unit. Led by Ethan Page, managed
with
by
the exception of Lee Moriarty.
Well, yeah, I got it.
who I thought was Sonny Kiss at first.
He's going to be the wild card of the group.
Oh yeah, because he has green hair. But no, I liked this, and I like Stokely needs an edge, so I hope it gives him an edge. As for MJF, if this all turns out to be a swerve, and it's like, oh, I took this beating because Regal told me I needed to take this beating. If he ends up screwing everybody and going with Regal, and it was all to get every group involved and to eventually screw them all, I'm here for that kind of Kaiser Soze workmanship, and I've been kind of pushing that as Sami Zayn to be doing that right now, but I don't think he's doing that. I don't think WWE can script something like that. But I do think MJF as a puppet master would just get him over huge.
No, I agree. I'm with you.
He's the quote unquote devil. So everybody who buys into the devil, even the evil people, have their souls taken from them. And I kind of just dig that whole story.
Okay. All right. Your turn, sir.
No, actually that was my turn.
Oh, that was your turn. Okay, then it's my turn.
But I appreciate that.
Oh, well, thank you. Let me see what else happened on the Danielson Sammy Guevara match was a really fun blending of styles. Yeah, I like that a lot. I mean, I don't have like nuanced thoughts on this, but when you're saying earlier about like Regal, I was like listening to Regal on commentary, and something did sort of feel like, like getting ready to break up with somebody, like oh yeah, Danielson's really great guy, really like him.
Yeah,
I think so
noticed
highly
that.
of him.
I noticed Regal and Yuta interactions during that whole promo, and I'll get into that as I get after I finish this. But I want to talk promos because I love promos. I think promos are really the lifeblood of wrestling. I know it's so fun, Chris. The arguments I have.
No. To your point though, about like why is it hard for me to talk about this shows? It's like a lot of the matches I have like maybe 2 to 3. They're good or they're meh, and I have 2 to 3 sentences about each about either one. It's like Rio and Jamie Hayter, meh. But I don't have like deep thoughts on it.
Yeah, exactly. Promos are the life. That's what gets you into wrestling, and then you judge the match by the build, and it's one of those things where I have arguments with younger fans who are like, no, I want good wrestling matches. I watch wrestling for wrestling. I'm like, dude, do you want some foreplay with it? I mean, it's the foreplay that makes it great. And so I want to talk a little bit about a couple of promo segments on this Dynamite show because I liked the JAS one. Even with the technical difficulties and the boom mic and all that other stuff, I have finally found somebody I want to play bigger. Because usually the problem with guys who go big is that they're too big. But I want Sammy Guevara to be far more. And the archetype I've used before is the Tom Cruise character in The Color of Money. I want him to be uber cocky. I want him to be so cocky that maybe even the JAS is getting a little annoyed with how cocky he is. I just want him making out with Ty, getting up there, never taking the sunglasses off, just chewing the gum and smacking it, and being that guy and really leaning into this heel character. He's almost being too subtle about his cockiness in the promos, is what I'm saying. I really like that. And now we will go over to the other side, the Wheeler Yuta, who comes straight out of the Rey Mysterio Junior School of Acting. I mean, this guy, it wasn't that the promo was bad. Here's the problem with it, and let me see if you agree with this part. It's that it's that when Wheeler Yuta came into the screen to yell at Danielson about, oh, you're finally fired up and sick of this. That's not what a guy who just had a match can do, because it means he was probably standing there listening to the entire promo at the time. So as opposed to, oh, look, Wheeler Yuta's just happening to come backstage at this moment where Bryan Danielson is cutting a promo. It's like, no, he's aware of all the things Danielson said before he ever came through the curtain, which made it ring a little bit false to me. And I know he's trying, and he's much better than he used to be, but man, he is wooden in these things, and I'm hoping for some improvement there, especially if he goes heel.
Yeah, no, I mean, him as a heel and Yuta and Garcia as like a tag team, I think would really help revitalize Yuta in particular.
But he doesn't need revitalization. That's the weird thing. That's just us, because like he goes out into the crowd and he gets hot reactions, but I don't know if those are hot reactions because of the Blackpool Combat Club.
Right. I feel like it's a lot of it is also goodwill, right? Yes. Like people don't want this guy to fail. And yeah. I feel you. I'm not rooting for the guy to fail either, but I mean, I call him as I see him, and either stuff connects with me and it doesn't. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how this goes.
I have no other notes, literally.
Yeah, I don't know that I really do either.
We make it short. We make it a short.
Yeah. Okay. No, I guess one last.
What's your favorite Halloween Havoc? No,
my favorite Halloween Havoc.
Spin the wheel, make the deal.
Actually, no. You know what I do want to say? I loved MVP's little intro to the Omos squash match.
MVP's great.
Isn't he? He like Omos is nothing at all. Like the guy's just a tall human. MVP makes that great.
MVP has been a sneaky favorite of mine since as long as he's been in the company. Because I know that when he came up first and everybody was like, oh, he can't work really that well or whatever. And he had that best of 7 with He Who Shall Not Be Named. And really brought it to his own. But man, the tunnel entrance that he used to do as MVP, when he was wearing the breathe right strip over the nose, and wearing the basically the Power Ranger suit and stuff like that. That's one of my favorite entrances in wrestling. It really is. I loved the tunnel. And so anything he could do to kind of bring back Hype Man MVP, I'm all for it. Yeah, it's just carny enough to be fun, is what it is. And it's one of those things that harkens back to a day where, people still believed wrestling was real and stuff. But yes, almost killing 3 geeks. I'm here.
Four geeks. No, four geeks. And
right,
the one guy making the gulp face as the hand was up again. I know
they were very good. They were
very good. No, it has nothing. It was MVP and the geeks who made that whole scene really work.
But they made him look like $1 million.
No, they did. And when you know how limited Omos is,
oh god,
and he is really friggin' limited. I credit to those dudes. I enjoyed that little beat on the show a lot. I don't understand the Baron Corbin JBL thing. Who thought this was a good idea? Doesn't make a lot of sense.
Oh, but it does make sense, doesn't it?
I guess money.
No, the crowds have the same reaction to Corbin as they did to JBL. It's the, oh god, he sucks, get him off my screen. Even though Corbin is a far better wrestler than JBL will ever be, I think, in my opinion. But he has the same obnoxious, oh no, the smarts don't like him all that much type of thing. Like, people hated JBL because it's like, push Ray, push Eddie, push the guys who can work over this big guy. So Vince would just continue to cram JBL down everybody's throats and have him be him. That's the same thing with Corbin. I mean, they have this is water meeting its own level is what it is.
Yeah, okay. I see that.
I miss Pat McAfee. He is so great on the college football show. I wish he
Kevin is not adding anything on the microphone.
Kevin
is just not clicking.
The play-by-play guy on Raw. Yeah.
It is just not
They
clicking.
may find that firing Jimmy was a mistake.
Oh, I know. As the weeks wear on, it's like firing Jimmy was just a complete baffling decision.
Or what they're gonna do is bring up Vic, I think, and because I like the kid who does NXT Level Up.
Yeah,
very good,
and he's a perfect plug-in for Vic too.
Yeah.
And Vic's great. I just don't. I think Kevin is gonna go into the Adnan Verk where they now file very
there's
quickly.
A lot of Adnan Verk in there, and it's not that he's not. It's not that he doesn't love wrestling. It's not good. He is miscast. He was a perfectly fine vanilla Dashabot in the back. He really was. He wasn't that bad. People could make fun of his accent there and get some heat if they were a heel. And Sheamus and him could have some
you
interplay.
could even have him maybe get along. Like you could do a little bit of character work with him, not like a ton, but yeah, he was fine. He works fine in that role.
Yeah, he was fine doing that job. Here he is. He has to carry a load that he's not equipped to do just yet. And he was perfectly fine on Raw,
though, right? It's more than that. Some people have the right voice.
Yes.
For leading a show as the dominant main voice. And his voice just isn't right for that. You could be a very good public speaker and not have the right A voice.
Oh, I know what it is exactly. And it's not necessarily voice or tone or I want to say timbre, but that's not that. There's no bass in his voice. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
There's no confidence in his voice either. He's calling it as if, give me approval in the headphone as to how I'm doing the entire time. That's what it is. He's trying to.
No. There is no authority in his voice as he's calling the action. It needs to. The color man needs to be sort of laid back and giving his opinion on things or whatever. And the play-by-play voice of the show needs to be like very, very. It's why Mauro Ranallo, I know, people have their qualms with him or whatever. It's what makes Mauro very good at what he does. Is that he is always fully engaged. Like totally
Jimmy once he got past Vince yelling at him in the headset and got the confidence, was a perfectly serviceable play-by-play guy. Yeah. Vic Joseph has confidence now. He used to be when he had Raw, he was also weak. I mean, you remember you remember as him, the guy who's now known as Mace and Jerry Lawler. You remember that Raw commentary team?
Yes, I do.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, he's found his niche down in NXT, and he might be, with Hunter producing him and Michael Cole, he might be ready for another run up at the top as well. But yeah, and of course, Michael Cole. Michael Cole's in the FU money stage of his career where he's just like, dude, the handcuffs are off and I can say whatever. He's bringing up wrestling history and stuff like that. I'm still fascinated by him in many ways, even though I love the McAfee and him team.
I know. Michael Cole, it's for years, everyone's like, oh, he does a bad job. He's actually very, very good at this.
Very good. Go listen again. The House of the Rising Sun pay-per-view in Japan.
Yeah.
That he did. I mean, everybody points to that and go, yeah, go listen to that. That's great. But
no, that is probably this. If you want like the most condensed, like, oh, that's good, Michael Cole. Yeah, no, like he really does know the business extraordinarily well. He's you can't live and work in this business as long as he has and not like it on some level, and not have, kind of the knowledge. He could have done other stuff. Michael Cole's not like some sort of talentless dude.
He has an actual journalism degree.
Yeah. He could do broadcast. He
From
could do
Syracuse.
broadcast. Yeah, he could do broadcast stuff for other things.
Harvard of broadcasting.
There you go.
And someone's, oh no, who said that? Brian Gewirtz. I read his book. I listened to his book. It's very, very good. And I'll end with this. I feel like this is like the Lord of the Rings last movie where we've had 6 different endings, but I'm going to say this. I enjoyed the book. I listened to it on audio. He doesn't read it, but another guy does. So some of the mispronunciations are kind of funny that he doesn't understand how to say like Pat, Patterson. I think he's called him Paterson or something like that. Very, very interesting. Maya Villa is a very interesting pronunciator, but there's a Vince-ism in there that I had never heard before, and it's now going into my Rolodex of how I analyze wrestling, especially WWE, as I watch it. And it was this: Vince turned to him once and said, "A promo is a match, and a match is a promo." And I thought about it. And it's like, well, that's why they do the 20-minute promos, because they want the ebb and flow of a match where someone gets a shine, someone gets some heat. There might be something screwy that happens then in the midst of the promo. He views those the same way he does as a match, where it has to have a certain. It's not a guy talking and trying to build a match. It's a story with an arc that has an emotional crescendo and then a strong ending. And I was like, okay, now I understand Vince's thinking a little bit more. All right, that's your silence says it all.
Yeah, I have nothing to add to that.
Okay,
yeah,
perfect. Well, you can follow me at CrapGame13. You can follow Christopher now on Twitter. Don't know how long that's going to last. At DWATG. You can follow the show. Just one word: shake them ropes. We'll update that feed as episodes are released. I do a show called The Dynamite Show on the Fight Game Media Network. $5 a month. You get a bunch of shows about a bunch of different wrestling promotions, much like Voices of Wrestling. They do a lot more stateside stuff. There's actually an Impact show over at Fight Game Media. But I do a show called The Dynamite Show, in which about 10 minutes after Dynamite ends, I thoroughly deconstruct it with one Paul Ace Fontaine, almost to the point where it's annoying how much I deconstruct that show. But yes, that's at patreon.com/fightgamemedia. Chris also has a Patreon. He'll tell you about that now.
Yeah, you can go to patreon.com/DWATG. I'm a little dormant right now. However, if you sub up for Buck a Show, so it's Buck a Show whenever I put out a show. But if you sub up today, you can actually go and check out the demos for my upcoming EP, which looks like it will probably be out at some point like early 2023 at the absolute latest. I need to now just find someone to put a final mix and master on this thing. But the tracks are either all the instrumentals are done. The vocals for most of the tracks are done. 5 of the 7 tracks. And you can hear them up at patreon.com/DWATG. And you can follow me on Instagram at Dr_Nov.
Waiting for this light to turn green. I'm headed to work for a boss so mean. I'm gonna be late. She's gonna be...
There are some things we should do alone, like sing in your car.
If this light doesn't turn, I'm gonna scream.
But when you gamble, you should always do it with others, because gambling with friends helps keep things in check. So go to keepitfunohio.com for more tips like this. Keep it fun, keep it social, but your singing?
Yeah.
Maybe keep that to yourself.
Hey, it's me, your Uncle Cooper. Sorry to interrupt your music. I do love music, especially when it's set at a reasonable volume. You know, music is really only as good as your speakers. The same is true for minivans. A minivan is only as good as the tires it sits on. And the button on the screen there, it agrees with me. If you click on it, it'll bring you to all the Cooper minivan tires that'll make your minivan a really good minivan. Go with the Coopers! Cooper!